The one thing that I would say, I think you guys are on the right track. You're looking at all of the factors involved. I went to one of these meetings several months ago. It was an early meeting, and a gentleman was there talking about the issues, and somebody in the audience asked him, well, what did one of these windmills sound like when you got up close to it? And he said he'd never gotten up close enough. And, I said to myself at the time, I don't want to be that person answering that question that way. And I went on one of the trips up into the Palmyra. I think that's very important, that people do their own analysis, that they don't wait to have it come in handy to them. And I think you guys are on the right road with that. Anything else I wish I could give you a clearer picture of where this would go. Again, this is something that we studied after the fact.
Right. Well, I mean, if the market is bottomed out and they put a windmill up, how much lower can it go, so to speak? I mean, that's to be fair to the person that might be living close to it, and to be fair to the windmill company that's taking the flag.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, if it's bottomed out, then.
I'm not sure that we have, unfortunately.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. All right, thank you. You guys are next on the agenda.
State your name, please.
My name is Lester Politsky.
Spell your last name, please.
Polinsky.
You can move this faster if you can get a chair there if you want to.
You might have asked a little more. All of it.
Hi, I'm Doug Duran. I just thought I'd introduce Les for a second. Doug Jimmering with Exelon. At the last Planning Commission meeting, indicated you wanted to hear from us about radio interference and the potential for that. Exelon Wind, together with Great Lakes Wind, has engaged Les Politsky of ComSearch, and he can talk a little bit about his experience, but he has provided support to a lot of wind projects and other businesses involved in radio. And we've hired him to give a summary presentation on the interaction between wind and radio. And also just take a moment to introduce John Bullock. This is John. He is going to be the project manager for this project going forward. He just recently joined Exelon Wind, and you'll be seeing more of John in the future.
We were contracted by Exelon and RMT to evaluate the situation in the telecommunications area. Whenever you build large structures, it changes the environment of the area. And one of the things that you want to make sure still operates according to their requirements is the telecommunications in the area. Our company is primarily a telecommunications company. We were founded in 1977, and we've operated under the same name since that time. We have telecommunications experience in all of the operating bands, from 10 kilohertz, which is the lowest frequency that's used to communicate with submarines, up to 90 gigahertz, which is used for short-range communications in places like New York and those types of things. It's the highest frequency used for microwave. We are the largest spectrum management company in the country. We have the largest database, and it is used in order to evaluate the situation. But when we know a site is going up in Michigan or in Iowa, Texas, we have all the information on all of the systems that operate in those particular areas. But we not only do analysis, we perform measurements. So we're one of the few companies that have both capabilities. We can analyze situations theoretically, or we can go out and actually measure the conditions that exist at a particular site. We do licensing and investigations in cooperation with the FCC. And we have a full range of test equipment to do that. And we have been assisting the wind industry since 2000. And I would have to say that we have probably worked on somewhere on the order of 5,000 different projects in the wind energy field, all around the United States. I just want to say a few words about my own background. I'm a senior principal engineer with ComSearch. I started with them in 1980, 3 years after they were founded. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in electrical engineering. I have 50-plus years of experience, counting my time that I served in the United States Air Force. I was a ground electronics officer, and this involves radar and communication systems. I also have been an instructor at the Capitol Institute of Technology in the Washington, D.C. area, and I've taught classes on RADHAZ, radiation hazards, telecommunications, and transmission lines. The services that a telecommunication, that a wind energy site has to deal with when they're going in involves microwave point-to-point communications. That's maybe the first and most essential thing. When you put up these structures, you want to make sure that you do not obstruct microwave communications. The microwave backbone in the United States involves the transfer of information from one computer to another. It can be video, it can be telephone messages and things of that nature. And they have to operate at a very high reliability. So the first thing that is done is you determine all of the paths that go through the project area. And you want to make sure that when you site your wind turbines, none of those will be obstructed. We look at the question of off-air television. That is a television that's broadcasted from a terrestrial station in the area. But there's an important trend that's going on in the United States at this point. Up until recently, a lot of people would get their television from off-the-air stations. Now, recent surveys have shown that only 10% of the people in the United States rely solely on off-air television reception. Many people get their television broadcasts from satellite or from cable at this point. We also inform the federal government that a system is going in because the government operates many telecommunication systems. And this includes the Department of Forestry, the FAA, and others. So we take care of doing a notification so we can coordinate the fact that the site is going in. We look at land mobile radio. That's the type of radio where you have repeaters and walkie-talkies or vehicle-mounted communication systems. We look at mobile telephone, that's cellular, PCS, and AWS types of communications. We do communication tower analysis to find out if the systems on that tower will be able to operate effectively when the turbines go in. We look at wireless internet, and there is wireless video that is fed from some of these towers. And we've even been concerned with amateur radio because there are many amateur radio operators that have put expensive rigs in, and we want to make sure that they can continue to function after the wind turbines are installed. Going back to the microwave overlays, what we do is we look at the worst case Fresnel zones. And the worst case Fresnel zone is that zone that exists at the center of the path. And what we do is we make sure that the worst case Fresnel zone is not obstructed. If it is, then we can do a further analysis, which would look at the actual Fresnel zone, and we do it in a three-dimensional manner. But the initial culling is done on a worst-case basis to determine if there is clearance. If there is clearance in the worst-case path, then we don't have to go on to the three-dimensional or the actual Fresnel zone. And this is a diagram that shows wind turbine locations that are selected and the worst-case Fresnel zones. The red indications of those particular turbines are turbines that would have created a blockage or an obstruction. So we inform the developer either those have to be moved or eliminated from the project because they would interfere or obstruct those existing paths. The lighter colored ones are the ones that were clear, from the Fresnel zone study.